Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Today's my presentation's topic is 1984 versus Handmaid's Tale versus Black Mirror. How dystopia is a culture warning, how Atwood's feminist dystopia and Brooker's tech dystopia extend Orwell's project. Here is my academic detail and presentation details. Here is table of content. And in the introduction, dystopia fiction does not describe impossible future. It takes the most dangerous tendencies of the present and follow them forward, forcing the reader to confront the cold plausibly occur if nothing resists. In George Orwell 1984, modern template a totalitarian state that controls the citizen not merely through violence but through the systematic destruction. In Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale, enter the tradition direct but redirect its focus. In Charlie Brooker's Black Mirror, relocate the same anxiety into the digital age. This presentation argues that these three works from a coherent critical tradition across 70 years, each one asking the same question in a different historical moment. That what does power look like when it no longer need to be visible? My research question is, do Atwood and Handmaid's Tale and Brooker's Black Mirror extend Orwell's dystopian project, or do they depart from it so fundamentally that Orwellian framework can no longer account for their warning? And the hypothesis is Atwood and Brooker inherit Orwell's core proposition that power perpetuates itself by destroying the capacity for memory and authentic experience. But each author relocates that mechanism, Atwood into gendered body and Brooker into network technology, revealing the limits of Orwellian political statistic model. Here is my key milestone dystopian media that 1949 when the George Orwell's 1984 published. In 1985, Margaret Atwood's Handmaid's Tale was published. In 2011, we can say Netflix released the series Black Mirror. Orwell's core mechanism, destroying memory of destroy itself. Oceania's power rests on the mutability of the past. Who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. A formulate trope reads as the structural heart of mind control in 1984. Doublethink holding two contradiction beliefs simultaneously is not an aberration of logic but is systematic replacement. The party does not persuade its program, making free agency structurally impossible in Oceania. In Winston's rebellion fails because it remains individual. His diary, his affair with Julia, his encounter with O'Brien, each act of resistance is already anticipated and absorbed by the system, confirming the party total Pentarian of private space. In Gilead's method, the body as the new site of control. In Gilead does not destroy the memory through ministries and slogan. It destroyed identity by cancelling a woman's name, consecrating her biological and telling her a body is in habit belong to the state. Offred knows this exactly. We are two-legged worms that all sacred vessel ambulatory chalice. In Atwood's narration technique, reference the argument offer begin as a fragmented, disjoint voice and gradually consolidated into a full consciousness. Her narration is itself act as of resistance. The freedom to speech of Aunt Lydia delivered to the handmaids is Orwell's own doublethink applied to gender. In Brooker's platform, protest, absorb, converted, and sold black. In 15 million merit being saved from months to buy a slot on talent show, stand up with a shade of glass at his throat, and deliver genuine cry of rage against the system that owns him. The judges applaud. They hire him. His rage becomes a weekly broadcast slot. The glass stays as his thought, and what was once real desperation is now a scheduled performance. Hertogson and Woodka supply what Orwell could not have imagined. The dopamine loop of social media feedback is psychologically addictive, engineering desire to throttle that user experience capture as freedom. The ADIB's nature replacement the state's new eye. In Hated in the Nation, bees are exhausted. The ADS robobees were built to pollinate the country's flora, a clean solution to a genuine ecological collapse. They also grace shows allow the government total nationwide surveillance as a capacity never disclosed to the public built into the same tiny bodies that carry pollen. This is what Orwell's statist model cannot account for. The surveillance architecture with no ministry, no soldier, no big brother, just infrastructure doing two jobs at once. The three dystopia and the same mechanism. In the when we see the power structure in 1984, we see the totalitarian state and the party. But in Handmaid's Tale and Black Mirror, there were theocracy and corporate algorithm. If we see mechanism in 1984, we can see the Doublethink, memory hole, and Newspeak. In Handmaid's Tale, there are body conscript and dopamine loop. Individual, if in 1984 there was Winston and the Investel offered, where the existence become departure, Orwellian limit. Orwell's model needed a visible enemy. Oceania, the party, big brother power that can be named faced at last theoretical oppose. In Gilead and Brooker's platform offer no such regret. And McKenna identifies a political weakness in Brooker's aesthetic. The working masses in 15 million merit appear as a passive manipulated crowd with no internal agency, which limit the critics' radicalism. In Hertogson and Woodka complicate the behaviors assumption undying all three. Smartphone addiction arise through psychological disclosure, no individual or state deliberately designed, which means no single villain can be held responsible. In Browning's argument about dystopian fictions use value points at what Orwell pessimism forceless. In critical reflection, what the argument establishes and what it can. The argument stand at the edge. McKenna critics Brooker's works as a passive Bowen mess suggested that Black Mirror may concisely replicate Orwell's own political limitation and rather than correcting them. A strong counter reading would be argued three texts are not a coherent project at all, but three discrete response to discrete crises whose surface similarly are genre and convention, not genuine continuing. The research question retain its value regardless, asking whether Atwood and Brooker's extend or depart from Orwell's forces a precise answer to what Orwell's project actually was, which is the more useful question than a genre reception usually demands. In conclusion, the mechanism argument holds Orwell discovering that power perpetuates itself by destroying the capacity for independent thought. It is shared inherent. Atwood and Brooker resist without amendment. Brooker's take dystopia is the most immediately urgent and dopamine loop, and the surveillance swarm are not projections but present condition, making Black Mirror as the most acting warning. Here is the here we can see the how core mechanism works in 1984 in Brooker's film and the Atwood's work in Black Handmaid's Tale. Here are the references. And now thank you. Open for question.
So my question is that how do Atwood's and Brooker's works recollect the covered dystopian mechanism for Orwell's 1984?
If we see the 1984, there are a single enemy like Big Brother, who is the core enemy and control the whole nation, control all their mind and history and all, change the language and concise the dictionary. If we see in Handmaid's Tale, there is a this shift comes to the body of woman, how the body of woman is used by the government and used for only a child, only for the child. But in Black Mirror, we can see the control is self, and the people give control on self to the other. Next question.
My question is why Orwell's idea do not perfectly fit today's story.
If we see in Orwell's 1984, there are a single enemy, Big Brother. We can point him out and say he is the enemy. But in Handmaid's Tale and the Black Mirror, there are no single enemy. There are multiple, and we can't see them. It may be a multiple algorithm and data structure and all. Thank you. This is all from my side.